So which I'm
Are you
going live
tired of sitting
now.
on the sidelines watching opportunities pass you by? You know you have what it takes, but something's missing. It could be doubt, confidence, or fear that you're not representing your best self. Whatever it is, it stops now. It's time to align your passion with your purpose and seize the opportunities that await you. I want to see you get back in the game. So join me and my expert guests as we talk all things image, branding, and a bit of entrepreneurship. So if you're ready to gain insightful tips, tools, and strategies to help you amplify your presence and define your impact for greater success, sit with us as we talk about it.
Welcome back to the Image Connection Show, where we go beneath the surface of image, branding, and presence to help you live and lead with impact. I'm your host, Jenny Dewberry, certified image personal brand coach and consultant, and I'm so glad to have you here with me today. And thanks for joining me in the evening hours. I appreciate that. The Image Connection Show is a conversation-driven show that explores how inner alignment impacts our outer image, our personal brand, and our leadership presence. Today, I have with me someone that is very much aligned with me when it comes to branding and presence, visibility in general. Her name is Cheryl Pullins. Cheryl is a luxury personal branding strategist, speaker, and the founder of Her Iconic Empire, which I love. She's a recipient of the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award and a City of Tampa commendation, and has been recognized multiple times for her excellence in speaking and leadership. She helps accomplished women, especially those over 50, turn their expertise into visibility, authority, and income without reinventing themselves. She's also known for her identity-first approach to branding, where image, presence, and messaging align with the level of success a woman has already earned. She also serves as the editor-in-chief of Hope for Women magazine and empowers women to move from feeling unseen to being fully expressed in life and business. Help me welcome Cheryl Pullins to the stage. Cheryl, I had a little difficulty getting through that tonight.
That's okay. That's totally all right.
Right. This platform is about authenticity and not perfection. Yep. So
here
we are.
Exactly. Say at the end of the day, we're here.
We're here. We're here through all the little glitches and all. We are here. And so I so appreciate you being here with me, sitting with me, and just speaking to the audience and pouring into them. And I'm sure that they will be filled with a lot of valuable nuggets, insights, and valuable tips and tools that they can take away.
Awesome.
Yeah. So again, Iconic Empire, Her Iconic Empire. I love the name.
Thank you.
Love the name. And I know that you used to be a airline flight attendant, and then also had an appearance on Veep, the show Veep. So talk about how you went from, I don't know if the Veep was before or after becoming an attendant, or how that worked, and did that play a role in what you do today?
So I had a career before either one of those.
Okay. Yeah.
So before I did the flight attendant, or I had that extra on, I was an extra on Veep. Mm-hmm. I worked in human resources or HR professional for over 20 years.
Oh wow.
That was my career, and I was in benefits and compensation was my specialty. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the things that I see and hear now around healthcare and things like that, this was before the Affordable Health Care Act. This was before all of those things. This is during the Clinton era and all of those things. So I had that career, and then this idea of being a flight attendant, I had always wanted to be one.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute and glamorous, and I would
And
see
it
the flight
was.
attendants walking through the airport in their
Mhm.
uniforms, rolling
Yeah.
their little roller bags, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's just the
Mhm.
coolest!" And you get to fly all these different places, blah
Right.
blah 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 blah. Well, I lasted a year.
Oh, wasn't all, listen, it wasn't all it presented itself to be, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely not. And it was. I'm glad I did it. I'm
Hmm.
very glad I did it because it was a desire. It was a dream,
Right.
and I got to live it.
Yeah.
And I got to live and talk about it. So
Hmm. That's right.
right. So
Right.
so
Yeah.
there was that. And so after that, after my career and doing the 1 year of the flight attendant, I started thinking about going in and starting my own business. But while I was working, I did work a job after the flight attendant piece. I did work a job at the hospital in HR for a bit. And during that time, I have no idea how this opportunity presented itself, but they were looking for extras for this show. And they're like, send in your headshot. And I actually did it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. They're not gonna,
Hmm. Yeah. I'm just gonna send it out,
I'm
and
just gonna
whatever
send it.
happens, happens.
Well, what happened was I got a phone call and they asked me if I would be available. And I said yes. And then they called back. They sent me all the information. So I wound up as an extra on the show Veep. And nobody knows I'm in the show except me.
Really? You didn't tell anyone?
No, you can't see my face.
Oh, okay.
You can't see my face. I am actually in two scenes, two different scenes. In one scene, I can see like the top of my head, my hair,
Right.
because I'm kind of blocked. And the other scene, I think I see me, I'm like walking by or something. It's really funny. Literally only I only know it's me.
You only
Nobody
know.
else.
Wait, I'm
So
sure you still
trust
feel
me, I have
comfortable.
screenshots.
Oh, I believe you. I
Like
believe
this
you.
is
Yeah.
me.
Here I am. You see that right there? That's me. Yeah. Yeah.
so, so having done all of that and then saying, okay, how do I create something that allows me to just do all these incredible things,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
And I sat down one day. We had moved to Florida, and it was during the recession back in 2010.
Okay.
Difficult to find a job
Mhm.
that was going to pay what I was looking for.
Right.
Um, and so I said to my husband, I said, I think I want to see if I can try my hand at. This is what I said. I want to try my hand at creating something that will generate the income that I used to make or get close to.
Yeah. Hmm. I plan.
And that's what I did.
That's
That's
how.
what I did.
That's what you did. Committed. Committed to it. Did it
Yeah,
well. I'm sure afraid, as we always say, do it afraid. Do it
honey, I
scared because you don't know what's on
did
the other side.
afraid, realized a year in, I didn't know what I was doing.
Hmm. Oh, well, that's how it is in entrepreneurship. You have the great ideas, and you have
Yeah.
people telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what you will need, what you won't
Mhm,
need. They give you
mhm,
all this information, but no one really pours into you
mhm,
um,
mhm,
unless you're
mhm.
giving them a hefty dollar. Pour into you,
Yeah,
and even then, you still have to be accountable. You still have to do
absolutely.
your own work. You still have to do your work
Yeah,
because how you're going to do this work is going to be completely different than the person that trained you, the person that coached
yes,
you, the
yes.
person that mentored you. You can't do this work based off of the way someone else do things or someone else's approach. You have to bring your own authentic self and authentic tools into the situation so that you can serve your clients properly, right? So they can see
Absolutely.
you. And we were talking earlier about identity
Mhm,
and how
mhm.
um, if you don't know who you are, or if your client doesn't know who they are, then it's very difficult to really form a relationship, and then beyond the relationship to be able to really be able to assist them in the way that they need to be assisted. So we get lost sometimes when we're listening to all of this great advice and people telling us what we should and shouldn't do. So we talked about how we need to sit with ourselves.
Yes.
And I like when you said that women don't need to reinvent themselves. They just need to understand who she is. And I can't say this verbatim, understand who she is and stand in that and embrace that and be brave enough to stand in that power, because when you do know who you are, when you've done that work, that deep work, it's powerful. You emerge as the same person, but a stronger, more courageous person. You allow yourself to get into these rooms and situations and accept these opportunities that probably have already been there or always been there. We just don't know how to approach it. We just didn't feel confident enough to grab and pull them in. So let's talk about presence and image or appearance. How does that fit into your work that you do in personal branding and leadership?
Yeah, I think so. I said I spent 20 years in the corporate space, and one of the things that I learned about being in that space is that, how you show up in your presence, it carries weight, it carries something in it. Pardon me. And what we have to decide is, how authentic we're going to be in that presence.
Yeah.
Right. I remember one of my clients some years back. She came to me because she wanted to build her brand and all of those things. And one of the first things she said to me was like, Cheryl, I'm not wearing all that jewelry and all them heels and all that stuff you wear. I'm not wearing it. And I said, and I said, why would you? That's not true and authentic to who you are. Yeah. So I think in terms of how it aligns, presence aligns, is it goes right back to that identity and understanding who you are, that, and how do you pull that through when it comes to presence, when it comes to image, when it comes to how you show up. Everybody's not going to wear a blazer jacket and a pair of pumps and, a pair of awesome pants. Everybody's not going to show up in a St. John suit. Everybody's not going to show up, wearing Chanel. You know what I mean? Yeah. Some people are literally going to be like, you know what? I'm good wearing my Converses, and whatever I want to pair that with.
Yeah.
So I think the presence has authenticity, but it also has understanding the environment that you want to be in. And if you want to really be taken seriously in certain environments, the incredible part about this to me is you rarely hear a whole lot of talk about imagery when it comes to like men in the boardroom.
That's right? So true. Yes. Yes.
But we hear a whole lot of it when it comes to how women show up.
Right.
So I always find that very, very, very interesting. And that's why my biggest thing about it is, to just be true and authentic and reflect who you are through your image and how you show up.
Yeah.
If you have a signature piece of jewelry that you wear, like a brooch or brooches, or, like my thing is red lipstick. That's my signature thing.
Yeah. And your red glasses, perhaps.
My glasses, period, because I wear all different kinds and colors. So my glasses became a thing. And I did that when I was in corporate, because it was the best way I could express my personality.
That's right. Yeah. I was going to say, bringing a piece of your personality into the workplace. You can do that in such subtle ways, but it really connects you, it grounds you, so that you when you're looking in the mirror, when you take a glimpse in the mirror or walking by, you see you see Cheryl, you see I see me, Jenny. I'm not lost in all of the goings on in this male dominated space. When you're in those corporate high level roles. And again, you talked about being authentic. And I am huge on, again, how can you be authentic if you don't know truly who you are. Again,
Yes.
we get lost. We get so caught up in the role. We get so caught up in the titles and trying and
Mhm.
performing for the job or the business that we forget about the most important component of it all, and that's us.
Yes.
That's us.
Yes.
And so, what would you say, or what advice would you give someone that they have it all together? Because we're talking about people in leadership, whether that's an entrepreneur, someone in the corporate world, they appear to have it all together. Sometimes we're dying on the inside because we are suffering from imposter syndrome. We're trying to please everyone. And by the time we get home, or by the time we get a moment to ourselves, we don't want to sit with ourselves and try to figure out who we are, because in those moments, we don't even think that we don't, or realize that we don't know who we are. We don't
Mhm. Mhm.
realize that we're
Mhm.
performing rather than,
Yes.
just being. And so
Mhm.
it takes a little courage, I would say, to shut out the noise, spend time with yourself, write
Mhm.
down what your values are, your belief systems, where you see yourself, your non-negotiables, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so I like your approach to that too, the identity approach.
Yeah. So
Right.
my approach is very similar, and
Mm-hmm.
it's similar from the standpoint of sitting with yourself. Now, of course, a lot of times they're sitting with me,
Yes.
and I'm walking them through that because I think for some people it's really helpful in an accountability sense,
Mm-hmm.
and in the sense of a lot of times we can't see ourselves. We're in the mirror and we can't see ourselves, or we may not know the questions, or we may not have the courage to go
Yes.
down that path,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So it's very similar in terms of having a conversation about your experiences when you were growing up.
Right.
What did that really look like? How did you feel about that? What have your experiences been in your life? What makes your heart hurt? What makes your heart sing? What makes just
Yeah.
asking all of those questions, and people, it starts to open things up, and people start to think and start to see things that they never even thought about,
Mm-hmm.
or asking the question when it comes to who they are and what they love. If you when you put your head on the pillow at night,
Mm-hmm.
what are you grateful for? When you put your feet on the floor in the morning, what excites you and lights you up,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
But
And,
we
and
get up running. Sometimes we get up run. I don't anymore, but I used to. But we get up running because all we can think about is what we have to do for the day.
yes,
What is
yes.
past?
But what is it deep inside that really lights you up, that
Yeah.
really sets your soul on fire?
Yes.
And what is it that you enjoy to do in your spare time? What kind of food do you like? I mean, really, we don't have to make
Mhm.
it so, out here. It be
Right.
right
It
in here.
isn't. Yeah.
You can ask right in here, and you start to learn things about yourself. You start to look and you go, oh, wait a minute. I do really like that actually.
Right.
Or no, I don't particularly care for when this happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start to use that data. I like to call it data. Start
It
using
is.
that data because now you're more informed. So now you can make better decisions. Now you can make more aligned decisions. Now you can go, you know what? I'm going to stop explaining myself to people all the time.
Right.
This is what I believe, or this is what I think, and that's it,
That's it. That's
right?
it. We don't owe
So
anyone those explanations.
that identity discovery is very, very powerful. And for me, it comes from a real place because I was adopted.
Mm. Oh yeah.
So that identity disconnection ran deep.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. I can't even relate to that, but I'm sure it did because I wasn't adopted, but it took years for me to
Hmm.
really tap into me and
Hmm.
my desires and my
Hmm.
beliefs and not what, and I always talk about the parents because I want to always honor them, but they poured and they poured and they
Hmm.
poured as much as they could into me. And so growing up, my main thing is that I didn't want to disappoint them. But as I grew, developed, and
Hmm.
actually identified who I was, I had to break away from some of those childhood um, things and systems that they had me practicing.
Yeah.
And I had to remind myself that it's okay to do that, because again, I can't operate as the person that they wanted me to be as
Mhm.
lovingly as they poured, and
Mhm.
as great of the great advice that they give me, and as much as they wanted me to be successful in life, walking around the house, my mom, when we were younger, with books on our heads. My dad telling us, "Oh no, you can't come downstairs until you're fully dressed."
Oh.
My hair comb. Can't go outside unless you have one. All of those things, which again, I brought those things, those good things with me today, but there's other things that were poured into me that just don't align with the woman that I am today.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I could only come to terms with that when I was forced to sit down with myself.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
as you
Yeah.
said when we were talking, it is a journey, and it's a never ending journey.
It is.
You're never going
Mhm.
to get to a place, whether that's branding, whether that's in your image, you're not ever going to get to a place and just be there. But in that journey, when you're discovering who you are and
Yeah.
you identify, you know, who you are, like you said, is powerful. It is
It
powerful.
is. Mhm.
Being able to walk through the world and be your true, authentic self with no apologies,
Mhm.
and then learning the power of no. When I learned how to say no, oh my gosh, it was so liberating. I didn't realize, and I think I began to say it too much because it felt so good to be able to say no. But as it relates to, we're talking about personal branding, we're talking about presence and leadership presence. When a woman comes to you, what do you think her struggle is to, and what brought her to the place where she realized that she needed that? She probably that assistance. She probably didn't call it branding when she came to you, perhaps, but she
Mhm.
knew that she needed something.
Mhm.
Can you speak to what a client might come to you for?
Yeah. Early on,
Mm-hmm.
um, women came to me for their version of what they knew branding to be.
Right. Yes.
So they came with, oh, I need to get a logo, or I need to, it was always something visual.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell them, okay, one, I don't do visuals.
Mm-hmm.
Two, there's work that goes before you get to the visuals,
Yes, there
and
is.
I started educating people around the fact that you want to have some other components in place
Mm-hmm.
before you start saying, you want a logo and you want a website
Right.
and you want all those things.
Clarity. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Clarity,
Yeah.
understanding of who you are,
Mhm. Exactly.
authenticity, who, what are you offering,
Yes.
what is your solution, what's the problem you're solving, who has your problem, like all of those
Right.
things.
Yeah. And how are you going to do it?
Yes,
What's your
exactly. And how
differentiator?
are you going to make money, how are you going to do sales,
Yeah.
so that happened early on, and then eventually what women really started coming to me for, and they still come to me for to this day, is the typical woman that comes. She's like, I have all of these different things that I'm doing, and I
Mhm.
feel like I'm all over the place.
Yeah. Yes.
And basically, it's helped me make it make sense.
Hmm. Yeah. I can identify with that. Even when I first started in this industry that I'm in, I had so much information, so many certifications, learning all of these things. And then when it was time to get out and start working, which one do I do? Where do I start? Where do I begin? What goes well together? What's going
Mm-hmm.
to be
Mm-hmm.
my area of expertise?
Mm-hmm.
It can be overwhelming. And I truly was overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I got the training, I received the certifications, my mentors, PhD, very well respected in the industry and all of that. But
Mm-hmm.
that was not enough to make me feel confident enough to get out and just go.
Mm-hmm.
So again,
Mm-hmm.
I had to
Mm-hmm.
do my own work. I had to do my inner work first.
Yeah.
I had to believe that I could do it. And
Yes.
I had to understand that personal branding and image, it's not just surface.
Mm-mm.
It took me walking in that to understand that I've got to work on myself first. I have to believe that I'm capable of this before anyone else will believe that I'm capable of it. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's a journey, it's a process. And again, it's never ending and it's ever evolving. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's talk about, your work and when a woman wants to shift. I'm going to read something here. Um, the lie that they've been told about reinvention. Women really don't, well, some of the women that I've worked with, they don't like the word reinvention because that's not what they don't want to do. They're okay with themselves as they should be. I call it refining.
Mm-hmm.
We can all refine a little something. It could be just the
Mm-hmm.
smallest tweak, and then
Mm-hmm.
we're okay with themselves. And then a lot of women in leadership, they know who they are, but they
Mm-hmm.
still may feel that they're missing something. So what do you say about a woman over 50? Because you work with clients, mostly women over 50, correct?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Um, and here's my perspective on the idea of reinvention. Again, that's another term that somehow or another got slapped on women, that you have to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
And that to me, the more, and this was just recent, this was probably only just last year where I started looking at and kind of deconstructing the concept and idea around reinvention. And I said, why would a woman want to reinvent herself?
Yeah.
I just asked, just asking a basic question.
Mhm.
Because you look at a woman, she has lived experience, she has knowledge, she has skill, she has amassed all of these different things that she can use and leverage into anything that she
Mhm.
wants to do.
Transferable.
So why would we present the idea that she has to now reinvent and become something different, something new, something other than who she is, just to get where she wants to
Mhm.
go?
Yeah.
So my thought around it is it's a real, sometimes it's a realignment. It's a redefining.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a self-rediscovery.
Mhm.
It's definitely not a reinvention.
Right. I agree. I agree because as you said, we've gone through this journey. We've fallen, we've gotten up,
Mm-hmm.
we've gained
Mm-hmm.
resilience,
Mm-hmm.
confidence,
Mm-hmm.
all of these things that have gotten to us to where we are today. Like I said, why would we want to reinvent? I worked
Right.
hard to get right here.
Right.
I worked
Yeah.
real hard to sit right here and be able to talk with you. And
Right.
so, again, I don't want to reinvent myself, but I do know there are times when I can do a little work, a little work
Mm-hmm.
to help me get to where I need to go to the next level of where I see myself. I'm not perfect. None of us are. I don't try to
Right.
be perfect. I just want
Mm-hmm.
to embrace who I am, be authentic
Yes.
in that, and
Yes.
stand in my power and understand that any room that I stand in, I'm worthy to be there. I'm meant to be there. If I
Absolutely.
was invited there, then someone sees some value in what I'm bringing into this space. And again, that goes with our inner dialogue, what we tell ourselves
Yes.
about who we are,
Yes.
and what we're
Yes.
capable of. Um,
And what we can do is we can reimagine.
absolutely,
We can
absolutely,
reimagine,
yeah.
you
Hmm.
know. We can reimagine and have a different way of how we see ourselves,
Yeah,
of how we see who we are and our future and all. So no, we don't reinvent, but we can reimagine.
reimagine, and I love that. I love that. So we need to, work on changing that word because the work that I do, it is about reimagining. Because the women that come with me, they're not coming. Well, I have had some that come and think that they just want or need. I don't do makeovers, but they think that they just need some
Mhm.
clothes. But by the time I get finished talking with them, they realize, oh my gosh, I need
Yes.
a little something else. And so
Yes.
this is when it becomes real, it becomes, where my passion lies is to help
Hmm.
them to see
Hmm.
themselves differently, not
Yes.
change,
Hmm.
particularly, not change who they are. The essence of who they are is going to be there. But if they feel that I need to do some extra work in this area, or oh gosh, I put on this outfit that we selected because it is the us process that we selected, and it's beautiful, but something is still off.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to rush through this process and you don't even know who you're dressing. First of all, you don't know
Yes.
who the woman is
Yes.
many times that you see on the other side of the mirror. You don't know who that person is. Again, because we're living up to the expectations of others. And so who benefits from this reimagining in your world? And how do they benefit?
Who benefits? Well, one, the woman that does the work, she absolutely benefits, but also that benefit has a ripple effect because, it impacts how she shows up, how she moves about the world, how people experience her, how she does her work. It ripples into all of those things. So as a result of that, the people she serves benefits from it. The people that work with her, the people that experience her, that encounter her, the people that collaborate with her, the people that come into her ecosystem, in her space, they benefit from it as well. But then now you have a whole nother layer of people that could benefit because the people that are in her world that are impacted by her, now they go out and impact others. So the benefit becomes exponential.
Yes, it does. It does. That's good. That's a good way to put it. I always say personal branding is not just, or image, it's not just about us. It's about those that are seeking us, those that, like you said, those that we encounter. It has a ripple effect. It helps us to be better in our families. It helps us to be better at work. And then, when we have confidence, you can get out here and accomplish anything. Anything is already possible, but you truly believe that anything is possible. If a person were to really think about when they kind of shifted in their world, if it's the way they look, the way they think, the mindset, it changes everything. It truly does. It changes everything. But I am big on presence, not just from the outer image, stance on it, but inner as well. As I've said before, our inner image is more important than what people see because people feel that. People can feel that. But you do want to be polished. You do want to put some intention into, what you put on, and then the situation that you're walking into. Very important. So, it's important for the inner and the outer to be aligned.
Aligned, yeah.
When a woman is out of sync or misaligned, how does that show up in her work? Let's just talk about personal branding because it's really broad. It can be really broad, and so we narrow it down and we work on the areas that resonate with us. In your work, when you're talking to your clients about personal branding, the process, the journey, because it is a journey. How do you approach that with them, and what identifying barriers do you see or have you seen in them?
Yeah, some key ones are lack of visibility. They hide.
Yeah.
There are underlying reasons under there, of course, because that's where you get into imposter syndrome and all of those, those types of things. But definitely lack of visibility, positioning. They're not positioned right to present or offer what it is that they have. Sometimes they don't even have an offer. They're just kind of throwing out, or they're like, well, I have a package, or I have a program, or I have this, but what do you really offer?
Offering, yeah.
And so those are like three ways off the top of my head that I can think of how it shows up.
Yeah, that's good. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, Cheryl, they would do that by going to your website, well, excuse me, actually following you on LinkedIn or connecting with you on LinkedIn at Cheryl A. Pullins.
Uh-huh.
And your Facebook and IG is simply at Cheryl Pullins. And your
Yes.
website is iconicwomanclub.com.
Not sure where that website came from, but
Okay.
it's actually hericonicempire.com.
Yeah, okay. Apologies for that. Her
hericonicempire.com.
Hericonic.com is
Yep.
where you can go and see what other services Cheryl offers, see how you can get a conversation going with her. Cheryl she is a luxury personal brand strategist, speaker, and founder of Her Iconic Empire. And today we are talking about personal branding and leadership presence and what that looks like. And she is helping me unpack some of the, I guess, myths about reinvention, if I could say that. It is not necessary for us as women to reinvent ourselves. We've come up with reimagining. So reimagining who you can become or what you see yourself as, and then positioning yourself to be that person. And to get into the rooms and to step into the opportunities that have already been there, but sometimes we get a little afraid, I guess, or we may feel like that we're not worthy of those spaces. And it doesn't matter what your background is, what hard skills you have, what degrees you have. We are women, and as women, sometimes in this male-dominated world, we tend to shrink because I have to say it. Sometimes they make us shrink. They make us second guess ourselves. So, that confidence helps us not to do that. So we're talking to Cheryl about that. And I wanted to talk to you about when a woman stops trying to improve herself, what that looks like and what that would feel like for her, just to embrace herself, embrace her authentic self and improve in the areas that need to be improved, but not feeling like she's not perfectly okay as she is, I guess.
I think we're always in some type of personal development, the development of who we are and all of those things. But I think if a woman gets to a place where she feels that that's not needed or necessary, there's probably something else going on.
Oh yeah, that's so true. That is so true. I know that before I started into this image consulting industry, I was a hairstylist. I worked in corporate and then I went into hairstyling, but I worked with women that had very high level positions. And you look at the women and they look like they have it all together, and they do have it together. But when you listen to some of the conversations, I realized that we all struggle from some of the same barriers, thoughts. It doesn't mean that because you sit in a C-suite office that you have it all together. You have it together in the way that you need to perform your job. You have it together maybe in a way that you can be there for your family. But imagine what that would look like if you truly tap into what your true desires are, right? Again, separating yourself from a title and a label. Who are you outside of that title? Who are you? You're not the job. You go to your job, but who do you take away from there? So I guess you can talk to me a little bit about that, if you're imposter syndrome and how we might still struggle with that. I know that became a buzzword, but it's true. It's a real word. I mean, it's a real thing rather. And women may suffer from it a little bit more than men. I don't know that because I'm not a man and I don't have a whole lot of conversations in this space with men, but we do suffer from it. Can you speak on that a bit?
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a big deal. It's a lot. It happens. But I also think that it's I don't know how to explain it from the standpoint of like I used to say it's a lie, but it is. I mean, it is because
Mhm.
somewhere along the way, accomplished women that have done incredible things
Yes.
think they're not enough,
I don't,
or
and
think,
you wonder why.
they think that um, they forget that they, and I'm saying this because I've been one of them. You
Okay.
know, it's like you forget. And sometimes my husband, he'll be like, well, didn't you do this or didn't you that? And I'm like, oh yeah, I did do that, didn't I? And then it's like, okay, well, that's still not enough. You know, so it's like you're always trying to reach this invisible
Mhm.
goalpost that moves and moves and
Yeah.
moves, because you think what you're doing, it's not good enough. It has to be
Mhm.
better. You know, so I have to. You now wind up being in a competition with yourself.
That's the
Um,
only competition.
yeah, you wind up being in this competition, but it never ends because
Yeah,
you never think what you've done is enough.
that's so true.
And that really, I believe that comes from some underlying belief,
Mhm.
that somehow or another that was instilled in you, that you in different ways, you know. And you know, as a woman of color, we're in the corporate space, we're always told, you know, you have to be twice as good. You have to be, you know, so you bring all of this with you. So if you're not showing up in a way, or performing in a way that's twice as good, you
Mhm.
know, that exceeds and goes above and beyond, or that, you know, you're like, you never reach this sense of fulfillment.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I agree because as I just said, I've worked with many, many high achieving women. And the first thing, not the first thing, but a lot of conversation is about the men in their office, not taking them seriously, not allowing them to use their
Mhm.
voice. And I hate to keep talking about the men. Um, but that's usually what I hear is that, and they said to me and they didn't take what I said seriously.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
and and,
mhm,
and it causes self-doubt, though they have
mhm,
it all together. They're probably the
mhm,
woman is, probably one of the smartest people in the room because we
mhm.
take a little bit more deep care and pay attention a little bit more to detail sometimes.
Yes,
And
yes.
we just it's just our nature. We're nurturers and it's
Mhm,
just our nature to
mhm,
do that. So not
mhm.
taking anything away from the powerful men out here in the world, but we as
Yeah.
women need to understand that we are just as powerful.
Mhm,
We bring as much
mhm,
to the table as anyone else, and we are worthy to be in the rooms that we enter. We're not busting down doors, just you know, uh, t- seizing the room and taking control of the rooms. We're being invited in the rooms.
mhm, mhm,
Remember that. And so when we talk about branding or personal branding and identity, we've gotten through the journey and the process of taking our clients through this um, identity process, even though it's everlasting. Is we're continuously discovering parts of ourselves,
mhm,
teaching them how to not be. Um, I'm losing my words. We're teaching them to show up whole, whole, not fractured, not misaligned. We're bringing all pieces of themselves
mhm.
into the world. And when
Yeah.
they're looking in the mirror, reminding them of who they are, but also the person that they see in the mirror, ensuring that that confidence that they feel in that moment, that they take that person out into the world
Mhm.
as well. So if you could talk to me a little bit about after they have identified who they are, after they've gone through that process and kind of set with themselves to you know kind of hone in on what their belief systems are and their values. What does that look like moving forward? How do they show up as this reimagined person, as this refined person, if
Mhm.
that's what they feel they need? How do they show up as that different person? Because they're going to be different. We just can't get around that. We're not saying that they have to reinvent themselves, but if they go through a process just like you and I have had to go through, we are different when we come to the other side, even if it's just in how we think, which is
Mhm.
huge. You know, how do you see clients coming through that and showing up?
Mhm.
grounding.
Well, I think the next phase of that is now they have clarity.
Hmm.
They have clarity, so
Yeah.
they're now clear. And in that identity space, yes, they have clarity about themselves, and who they are, and all of those pieces. So now, as the other piece of this clarity is, who are they serving?
Right.
Because that's impacting how they're showing up as well. It's impacting where they're showing up, and who they're talking to, and what their message is all about, and all those things. So that clarity piece is kind of what happens next. It's like, oh, okay, now I'm situated,
Right. Yeah.
right? So now let me get clear about the pieces that are going to, the additional pieces that are going to
Mhm.
impact how I show up,
Mhm.
in the world, in my work, and what I do, and how people experience me.
Right. Yeah. And I always say, and I use it myself, that before I prepare for any situation that I'm going to, and it's three simple, very simple questions, but they have so much impact. Where am I going? Who might be there? And what do I want to accomplish?
Mhm.
Those three questions right there
Yeah.
going to set you up for
Yep.
whatever it is that you're setting out to accomplish and achieve. You got to know where you're going. You have to know who
Mhm.
might be in the room, and you got to know
Mhm.
what you want to accomplish. And then you position yourself, you dress for it. I mean, and I'm going to always say that you dress within,
Yeah.
dress with and for impact. And that does
Mhm.
not mean that you need to go out and spend thousands of dollars on high end designer clothes.
Mhm.
Just because you have on a brand doesn't mean that you're making a positive impact. Just
Mhm.
because it has a label doesn't mean it's for you, and doesn't mean that you look great in it, because unless
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you know though, if you ask yourself those three questions, answer honestly, then you're halfway there. You've gotten yourself into the door. You're halfway to whatever it is, and through to whatever it is you want to achieve. So it's
Mhm.
important again to position yourself by the way you look, because presence for us is internal. It begins on the inside. But when
Mhm.
people see you, they're going to see you first, and then they feel that confidence. But it truly only takes a couple of seconds for someone to make a decision about you. I mean, really,
Mhm.
just a quick glance anymore, and the brain begins to process: who is
Mhm.
this person? Can I trust this person? Does she carry any weight in this room? Should I know her? Who is she? Who is she?
Right.
And so,
Right.
yeah, but
Mhm.
so you have to dress in a way and position your way in a manner that people are going to want to lean in. They're going to want to learn more about you. And especially from an entrepreneurial standpoint, there are so many people, well, in general, so many people out here that do the same things that we do. And so
Mhm.
we have to know what it is that makes us different, and be bold enough and
Mhm.
willing to stand out and stand apart from the crowd. Um,
Mhm.
and you can only do that with confidence. You can only do that with knowing who you are. Again,
Yeah.
where it all begins with self-awareness and um, knowing and embracing who you are
Mhm.
without
Mhm.
trying to reinvent. So let's talk about reinvention and why it's not necessary to reinvent ourselves, but just to, again, as you said, reimagine, and I call it
Mhm.
refining
Mhm.
those small tweaks that we might need.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from what we were speaking about earlier, in terms of just reimagining,
Hmm.
and shifting from reinvention, because you don't have to reinvent yourself, but you can reimagine. Even going through with you and working through their image and their presence, they're reimagining. How they're going to show up in the world in the physical sense.
Right.
It might not be a makeover, but it could definitely be a realigning of,
Oh, yeah.
what they wear, and how they accessorize, and all of those things, and reimagining, just your presence and how you show up,
Yes.
reimagining how you see yourself. When you look in the mirror, going from, seeing yourself as, however you're seeing yourself, to going, well, now wait a minute,
Hmm.
I got some experience, I got some knowledge, I got some
Yeah.
expertise, I got some street cred,
Mhm.
I got something going on, and starting to see that, And recognize and giving yourself the recognition of, wait a minute, and I think that's all a part of reimagining who you are instead of reinventing who you are. Reinvention sounds so heavy.
It does. And it's
very heavy.
Yeah. We discussed how it may make a woman feel, she may be uncomfortable with that term because we don't want to make people feel like they're not enough. You know, who you are is not enough. But many times we haven't tapped into, that. And so we don't know that we are enough. We just have to identify it, get visible, and believe that what I bring to this table is different. Though we may do the very same thing, it's totally different what someone else brings because, I'm going to bring my authentic spice to it. My experience to the situation because my experience has been my experience and I can only speak. I'm the only one that can speak from that standpoint and that can teach and train from that standpoint, so that's what we need to believe, and understand as well, especially when it comes to personal branding. You are your differentiator. There's no one out here like you, right? There's no one out here that can do it like you, though we may do the same things, but no one does it like me.
Exactly.
That's not being boastful. That's not being conceited as confidence. And it's just human nature to know that only I can do it like me.
You have your own unique sauce, your own icon factor, I like to call it, the thing about you that is unduplicatable.
That's right. Yeah. So Cheryl, I want to thank you for coming on today. Thank you for, your patience. Thank you for your patience and thanks for sharing with us today. Again, if anyone is looking for Cheryl, she is a luxury personal brand strategist. She is a speaker. And she has so many accolades. She serves as the editor-in-chief for Hope for Women magazine. So if you want to learn a bit more about her, then you want to visit her website at hericonicempire.com. You can find her on LinkedIn as Cheryl A. Pullins, and Facebook and IG, she's there as Cheryl A. Pullins. And if you want to learn a bit more about me, I'm Jenny Dewberry. I am a certified image consultant and personal brand consultant and coach. You can find me on LinkedIn under Jenny Dewberry. You can find me on my website, peoplepowerconsultancy.com. And if you're watching the Image Connection show on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe and tell your friends about the show. You are sure to gain some insightful tips and strategies to help you live and lead with impact. So be sure to join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the Image Connection show. And remember, you don't have to reinvent yourself. You just have to know who you are and stand in your power and step into the opportunities that are already awaiting you. Until next time, we'll see you on the Image Connection show. Thanks for tuning in to the Image Connection show. We truly appreciate you being here. We hope you'll join us again. And don't keep it to yourself. Invite a friend to tune in too. If you're ready to gain insightful tips, tools, and strategies to enhance your image, brand, and help you along your entrepreneur journey, this is where you want to be. I'll see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, keep showing up with purpose, presence, and power.